Jenny. It is Friday morning and it's our Friday morning market minute. But this morning I want to talk to you about because we just had a conversation about mortgage lending on mortgages that actually have some difficulty. And tell me about that story we were just talking about, an unsellable loan.
So the loan was unsellable because it had more than one payoff on the loan. So there were multiple people that were being paid on this one purchase. So it had to be structured completely different. We couldn't do a regular purchase loan, we couldn't do a refi because there was more than one payoff on the loan. So we had to go back and cancel the whole process and start it all over after the title work came in and do a cash out refi, which would allow us to do more than one payoff on one loan, even though it wasn't technically maybe a cash out refi. We had to structure it that way so that we could get the payoffs all paid off and we could clear the title and it'd be just one single payoff for the loan and we could clear the title that way.
So how do we find out if a property has these type of issues prior to going into a contract, or once we get into contract, what are the steps that we need to go into to maybe hit this off at the pass?
So whenever this happened, I was told that there was nothing we could have done on that one because we didn't know. So basically, the only way we could have been prepared for that is if we had known that that loan was built that way whenever she it was purchased, that house was purchased, but it was totally the title work had to come in for us to find the issue. So that one just moved our closing back a couple weeks, but it was it was fine, but there was no way to know that. Like sometimes just crazy things happen in the paperwork and you don't know until title runs that title search. Like there's no way for us to look on CAD or look at a mortgage statement and know that there's something like that going on because that's deep within the paperwork into the title work. There was no way to know about that situation. That is just something wild that came up and it's just you know, the tales of real estate.
The tales of real estate. So tell me, how could we fix this? It seems like the loan process is very intriguing and that there's different layers. And so how do we peel back that layer to make it a simpler process for our sellers so that they can actually give us what we need to make closings less complicated in the process?
I think just having a realtor and a loan officer that know each other really well and work together well and know to ask all the questions. There's always going to be a surprise, but the the people who work well together and they're experienced and they know they run across these situations and they just ask deeper questions and we just find things out. I think having that personal interaction whenever you go through the loan process and the selling process and like just genuinely getting to know your customer alleviates a lot of those problems because you find them out in simple conversation because we know which questions to ask.
Mhm.
Because we've seen all these crazy things happen with our experience out in the wild. And there's always tales in real estate, and there's always going to be something that comes up. I think that's just one of those things where you have an experienced agent, an experienced loan officer. We can come up with solutions to fix things.
So what would be your top three questions that a agent should ask a seller when they're listing a home about their loan that would be instrumental in getting that home sold and to the finish line that would probably deviate or keep some of these hiccups from ever happening?
I think whenever you're doing that initial interview with your seller and you're at, you're meeting with them and you're talking about how did you find this house? How was the purchasing process? Were there any hiccups? And getting their story on how it was buying the house. I think you'll get a lot of clues on what you could possibly find on the backside as you go through the process.
So Jenny, what I hear you saying is actually asking your seller, how did they get the home? What kind of loan did they have? What are the terms of their loan? How much down payment assistance did they have? Did they have any? What is their payoff? And getting that information up front prior to listing your home would help you sell your home quicker in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle and get it to the finish line quicker with a qualified buyer. Is that what you're telling me?
Definitely. Like I've seen my more experienced agents, you guys ask those questions, and then the younger agents probably don't ask as many questions. And then when we get the settlement statement, the seller might be in a panic because they're not making what they thought they were going to make because they didn't ask them enough questions about the loan. And a lot of times, math needs to be done and planning needs to be done prior so they know what they're going to get whenever the home does sell. They won't realize that there's closing costs on the selling side, or they won't realize that, you know, they have repairs or this or that that's going to eat into their profit. And they will be surprised if we don't sit down and really go through all of their stuff with them.
So what I hear you saying there is a net sheet, knowing what a seller is going to actually walk away with at the first interview would be a key tool to have in your toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
and having that one-on-one conversation, making sure the math adds up. That what you put, the price that you put on a home is actually going to net that seller what they need to walk away from at the end of the transaction
Yeah.
is key. And if the math doesn't add, then they don't need to be selling at this time, right?
Yeah, they don't, especially in a buyer's market. You don't want to sell if you don't know what your numbers are going to be. And that makes just the process more enjoyable for the seller. When they know their numbers, they've seen their CMAs, they know their comparative market analysis, they have an idea of what the comps are, they feel comfortable with what's going on, they're more pleasurable to be around as a seller, they're not so stressed out. Um, because they know what their numbers are and there's comfort in those numbers because you can then make your budget and you can plan and you can know. People want to know because it's stressful. They want to know.
They want to know. And so, what would you say, starting out as a new agent, what they need to do to actually not a new agent, as a seller, what should a seller know about their agent in order to move forward to buy a new home or to sell a new home?
If me personally, if I were interviewing an agent, I would want them to bring net sheets. I would want them to have a CMA, and I would want them to be actively engaged in selling in the market. And I think that if you look for those three things, that you'll be happy with the person you pick. But if they come into the selling process and they don't have a CMA or a net sheet and they're not sure what the market is gonna, where your house would be priced at in the market, if they haven't been in some of the other homes to give you an idea of what, your home needs to look like to bring that price, that's probably not going to be as stress free transaction for you.
So, Jenny, what I heard you say is three things. They need to have knowledge, they need to know the area, they need to have a net sheet, and they also need to know, uh, need to have a CMA about the house. So let's dive a little bit deeper about what a CMA is, because that's an acronym, but you don't really know what that is as a consumer. So what is a CMA?
So the CMA is a comparative market analysis. It's telling you what your house would be listed at compared to what the other homes are listed at in the area that are similar to yours. It's kind of like a realtor's version of an appraisal. So if they give you that CMA, you know that they've researched that house and they know the market. They know which houses have sold for how much and what houses have listed for, and they can give you an idea of your correct listing price compared to your sold price and how competitive your pricing will be.
So they're going to be able to help that seller actually target your home and price your home right so that it can sell competitively in today's market. That is what a
Yeah.
comparative market analysis is. And having a local agent be able to guide you and show you where you need to be so that you can be successful in the sale of your home is key in today's market, in any market, but today's market especially.
Especially there's more homes being reduced every month than there are new homes coming on the market because people aren't pricing them correctly. So that experienced agent who prices it correctly are the ones that are going to actually sell the home.
So what I just heard you say is though that's because people when they see a price reduction, they're thinking that there's something wrong with the house. It's not necessarily something wrong with the house, Jody. It's what?
Well, sometimes somebody will overpromise to sell instead of being honest, or somebody will want to price it high to see if maybe they can get it. There's lots of reasons that people price really high, and it really just makes the house sit longer and longer.
Mhm.
Like if your realtor comes in and she's meets all those she or he meets all of those expectations, and they're telling you the house is worth this much, don't don't sell it unless you're comfortable with that price, because there's probably not going to be somebody out there who just magically wants to give you, thousands of dollars over what the house is going to appraise at.
Definitely so. So I hope that you learned something today out of our Friday Market Minute. We've covered a lot of topics, and if you want to learn more, you can always reach us at our websites at homesbyr.com and
Jenny at imctx.com.
have a great day.